I welcome a wonderful guest today at the podcast of Styriate. It's May and Jan. Thank you very much for coming here and talking to me.
It's always my honor to be speaking to my Lieblingsleute, my favorite people here in Graz.
Maybe we start with Orchester Rekreation. You're sitting in front of this wonderful galaxy. You know, it's a symbol for the orchestra. Yes. It's your fourth season now as chief conductor here at Orchester Rekreation. In 2011, I think, was your first time here to work with the orchestra. Do you remember your first work here?
Very clearly. I was very surprised. The first Austrian orchestra that invited me wanted a very unusual program. It's a little bit East meets West. Butterfly Lovers, Violin Concerto, Ravel, Mother Goose, the ballet. And I came here not knowing what to expect, and I had the best time getting to know the wonderful musicians, Gertraud, the wonderful manager for the orchestra, and Herr Huber, who was legendary working with Maestro Harnoncourt. And so Styriate is always well known for me as a young conductor, but it was kind of a dream come true. You know, in my native country, Taiwan, Austria is the capital of classical music. And so we admire and really respected the long history of classical music here. And so to be able to come to Graz was very special. And so that first meeting with the orchestra is still very vivid, like yesterday. I tell you why, because my flight, I was music director of Memphis. I had to take a flight to Chicago, then Chicago to Vienna, and then to Graz. But my flight from Memphis to Chicago got canceled. It wasn't weather. It was May, I think, good weather. It was mechanical, and they could not find another flight until 2 days later. So I had to contact Gertrude and said, you have to find a substitute conductor for a very unusual piece like the Butterfly Lovers Concerto. But I finally made it, and I remember Gertrude drove me in her car with my luggages, and we stopped by the rehearsal, didn't even check in the hotel. I walked in, and my cousin travels with me as my assistant. She doesn't know that I speak a few German numbers. And so she started hearing me using German in rehearsal, and she thought, my cousin is going crazy. So that was a very interesting trip, but very memorable. I brought erhu as a solo instrument. It's the Chinese violin. And the solo is actually made a special sound post that's magnetic. So he could change the sound depending on where he want to project. So it looked like a 007 weapon as he was turning the. And so I really love Graz. But people say love at first sight. It was a wonderful old city. You know, you have so many history. I mean, even here, the Styriate building, it's so historic that makes you appreciate.
And the orchestra told me that it was really love at first sight, also from their side. You know, they said that it was really so much fun and love to work with you from the first start, from the very beginning. And as you told before, you played Butterfly Lovers, and we will also hear it when you come back in this year.
Yeah.
What's special about it now when you played with the orchestra this year? It's not this instrument that you bring now, you bring somebody else.
Yes, you are right. And thank you for sharing the orchestra story. I didn't know about that part. So it's lovely when an orchestra and conductor, the chemistry. I always say guest conducting is like speed dating. You don't know the chemistry until it happens. And so this time, I will bring a violinist from the USA from the United States. Her name is Melissa White, and she plays in a quartet called Harlem Quartet. They were awarded the Grammy, very prestigious, the Grammy Award this past year. And what's so special about Melissa bringing the Butterfly Lovers, also because she's bringing the butterfly dress. So the story goes, I invited Melissa to be the soloist for my other orchestra, Chicago Sinfonietta in Chicago. Then the pandemic hit. And then so we were trying to continue the concert. And right before the pandemic started, I was giving an award in Chicago, and it's a club in Chicago. They also have fellowship, young, talented artists, but they don't have musicians. They have apparel designers. So I said, how about your fellow create concert dress for our soloist? And so they did. This wonderful lady, during the pandemic, she dyed her own fabric, meaning she didn't just go to store to buy because it was the pandemic. So she created everything from scratch. So she had a fabric of no color, then she dyed with her own color to make patterns like a butterfly. So what's special about this piece? You have to come and witness it. This Butterfly Lovers story is the Chinese Romeo and Juliet. It's a tragic story. The two lovers were not able to be together because of arranged marriage and circumstances. But at the end, people saw a pair of butterflies near the tomb the lovers died. And so we always think there's hope, that love overcomes so much in life. And so what's special about this dress is that a certain part of the piece, the dress will reveal more layers. And so it's a little bit, I don't know, you call, before butterfly, it's...
I know the German word, the Puppe, we say, where the butterfly grows or
exactly. So the dress is like that puppe at first, and then it starts to transform. So at the very end of the piece, when the lovers finally together, you see the entire butterfly pattern revealed. And so this is a blessing that came out of the pandemic, and we did this in Chicago, passed right out of the pandemic, and I mentioned this to Herr Huber, and they said, your first piece with the orchestra was Butterfly Lovers. Let's do this again, and with Melissa wearing the dress.
We are so looking forward, not only for the dress, but especially for this moment when she reveals the butterfly. Maybe we come back again, only once more, to your relation with Orchestra Recreation. I heard you before at a special place when you talk about this orchestra, and I was so amazed and so touched by what you said. And maybe you can tell it to our listeners. You said that the musicians at the orchestra are not only producing something and doing a profession, but they love it and it's passion for them.
That's right.
That's what you said.
I've conducted over 150 orchestras in the world, and it's not every place you go where the musicians are not only wonderful personality, they love playing with each other. They give you all. It's not every place you have the combination of everything. And I so enjoy seeing, the first rehearsal. People are hugging each other. How have you been? People are happy to see each other. That's also rare sometimes in the orchestra world. So I think Recreation is special for me because I can challenge them very interesting repertoire or very standard repertoire, but I know they will give me we always say 100%, they give me their 200%. And so we make something special because I think people may not understand that as performing artists, it's we practice our instruments, but there's something very vulnerable on stage. You for 60 to 80 people, you need to trust each other to create the unified sound. And so I am so grateful for my colleagues, lovely colleagues in the recreation. When we make music, it's a little bit like it's not just pretty music. I try to remind them music sometimes for our audience. You know, I grew up with a sister who loved anything but classical music. She comes to classical music concert because I'm in it, because she always thinks classical music concert are not as fun as pop's concert. So I try to remind the musicians, sometimes the audience don't know the piece like we do, but we perform it like we hold hands at the edge of the cliff. We say kumbaya. We learn to fly, so the audience feel the excitement, the emotions, the music trying to say, and the recreation musicians, they trust me so much, and I love them so much. There's this mutual trust that I can say, let's do it this way. So it's exciting and fun for the audience.
Thank you so much for sharing your emotion and your view on the orchestra. I want to change to another topic. And we are around the 8th of March. It's International Women's Day.
Yay!
Yes, and you are nothing but a role model. You're a true role model for women in art, women as conductors. Maybe we start with this topic, women as conductors.
Of course.
What was your way to the conductor podium? How did you become a conductor? When did you change your education to go to? When did you decide to go to the US?
Wow, that's a very
long
good
story.
question. Long story. I will try to do my Reader's Digest version. You know, I grew up with parents who loved music, but never had the chance to be trained because they grew up under the Japanese occupation. Taiwan was under the ruling of Japan until World War II. Then Taiwan, became more independent. And so my parents loved music, but never had the chance to be trained. I think my mother, if she had the chance, she would be a diva, an opera diva for sure. But they wanted free concert at home. So they had their two daughters, my older sister on the violin and me on the piano. They were very naive to think that they could have free concerts every day if the two of us, learned the instruments. My sister really wanted to paint. And so I ended up the double duties of entertaining my parents. They wanted free concert at home, so I was practicing for them. But a light bulb moment went on for me when I played in the orchestra for the first time at age 10. I was a very shy violinist, but I saw this person on the podium only using gesture to make the biggest sound in the room. I ran home. I told my parents, piano and violin are fun, but I want to play that largest instrument in the room. They frowned and looked very worried. They told me it's not possible to have teachers. They were right, but I was very stubborn. I didn't take no for an answer. I memorized my violin part. Maybe it was very simple. And I thought to myself, I have conductor every week, so maybe I can learn from observation. So I will memorize my part and fix my eyes on the conductor, and he never knew I was trying to steal his craft at age 10. He thought I was the best kid because every other kid was buried in the music. And so fast forward, I was in the best academic school. I wanted to pursue earth science, geology, astrology, all my favorite subjects. I thought, okay, maybe music is not for me, But then an American Youth Orchestra, when I was 16 as a teenager, came touring in Taiwan. And my older accompanist, I don't know why she took me backstage to meet the conductor and ask him, does he have time to listen to me play the violin? So he said, oh, of course, showed up at the hotel. And next day, The youth orchestra already checked out, heading to the next town. The hotel was completely booked. The only place quiet enough for me to play for him was in a closed bar in the basement. Smell of beer, nothing ideal. I didn't have my older accompanists with me. I played Wieniawski violin concerto out of my heart. He has rarely seen Asian musicians playing so passionate because I wasn't doing it for my parents anymore. Music became my own escape. And he offered me scholarship. He offered my parents scholarship for me to study violin in Boston. So I tricked my parents into giving me a ticket to go to USA so I can finally fulfill my dream of becoming a conductor. And so if it's possible for me to come this far, I think for any young woman out there, don't let anyone tell you that you cannot do something, because I am a living example. Every relative of mine said it's not possible for me to be a conductor. I was very shy. How can someone shy be a leader? So I had to learn my way, and I didn't know what it takes. But in my undergrad, when I was a violin major, I studied score on my own. I memorized musical terms. I studied German, but I didn't have a teacher. But I know how to read German much better than I can pronounce, because a lot of German score, Mahler, Gustav Mahler, Robert Schumann, even you have German. And so I said, I want to be a conductor. I better learn what everything means. So I was very determined. I equipped myself with a lot of skills. I tried to play the score from piano, even though, I'm not a real pianist. Whatever it takes, I was determined. So I think passion, feeling the love for something, I think that's number one. Work really hard. I worked really hard. I got all the degrees there's to get. I have a doctorate degree, but when I got my doctorate degree, it was a very, very amazing frustration, because the amount of rejection letters were more than the notes I ever conducted. I almost gave up. So other than passion and hard work, I think a musician also I always joked that it takes a village to raise a musician. We all need our angels. And my sister became my angel. My sister said, hold on to your dream longer, because, my parents are in Taiwan. She said, I'll take care of parents, but hold on to your dream longer. If it weren't for her, I would have given up. And so I didn't give up. And then I got my first break, first career break as the chief music director of the oldest youth orchestra in America. So life comes full circle. And it's in Portland, Oregon, and I was happy to make an impact to the next generation, but I couldn't get my green card after 9/11. They changed the rule. Very difficult to get green card. So my lawyer said to me, I only have two choices. Marry an American, which is quicker to get your green card, or go win an international competition, just to prove that you have special skill. I didn't know which was harder, but I went for the competition. And so that changed my life, because 2005, I was one of 242 applicants from 40 countries for the Nikolai Malko competition hosted by the Danish National Symphony Orchestra. I've never been in Europe for any workshop, master class. It was completely American trained when it comes to conducting. They used to give 6 prizes. So I thought not too many Americans before me. I have a chance to get my green card. Didn't expect to make history. I became the first woman to ever win the Malko competition, and still am the only woman for the competition. So I always think, if it can possibly happen for me, it's possible for the second winner. It's just a matter of when. So I also have many angels, including Maren Alsop, who is the chief conductor of the radio orchestra in Vienna, who created the Taki Alsop Fellowship. And this is more than 2 decades now, 21-year 22 years now, that she has launched many women's career, professional career, because it's a very, what we call catch-22. If you don't have enough experience, no orchestra wanted to hire you. And so, but if we don't have orchestra as engagement, how do we grow? That's our instrument. And so I'm grateful for also my other angel is a recreation, and Herr Huber, who has the vision to invite so many women to Graz. And I was one of the many women, and I never thought possible to have a chief conductor position in Austria. I would have studied my German even earlier if I knew. But you take opportunities that come to you, and you make the best out of it. And so I am truly grateful and blessed to work with the best people here in Graz.
I want to add something. I don't know if you said it before. You returned to Copenhagen to the Malok competition as to the jury, right?
That's right. You know my bio so well. Yes, I served twice on the jury now, 2021 and 2024. The competition takes place every 3 years, and I'm very honored to be on the other side and hoping maybe someday soon that we will have women again winning, a woman winning the Malko competition. But you know, here I never thought possible for a woman to be chief conductor in Austria. I think I may be the first Asian woman to be given the chief conductor position. So it takes a brave man like Herr Huber to make opportunities possible. And so I encourage all the women out there, no matter what your dreams are, it is possible to achieve your dream. Hold on to your passion. Yes, give it as much hard work, because when you love something, it's not work. It encourages you to keep at it. Yeah, and then find a village of angels that can support you. And that's how I'm a living testimony of living my dream every day.
Thank you very much. I want to change to the next topic. According to women, women as composers. You're also doing a lot of important work when it comes to this field. Yeah. I think with the Chicago Sinfonietta, you recorded 2 CDs. Yeah. Maybe you can tell us what it's all about.
Yes, thank you. The Chicago Sinfonietta, actually, the first program, Recreation, saw my first program with Chicago Sinfonietta as a guest conductor, and they wanted the same program. And what are the chances? These are my 2 orchestras. So the Chicago Sinfonietta was founded by Maestro Paul Freeman in 1987, after his chance meeting with Dr. King, before Dr. King was assassinated, because a symphony orchestra is one of the more conservative, art form. And so Maestro Freeman founded the Chicago Sinfonietta with one mission, to embrace diversity, equity, and inclusion through innovative programmings. And so I was so thrilled when he handed me the baton. It was in a program that's mostly women composers' work, as his way to tell me there's one more minority in our art form, which is women composers, period. Alive or dead, they have been less than 2% in our overall repertoire. And so I start digging up works by women. And so I am so excited that I'm able to bring many of the hidden gems. For example, works by Florence Price that is done all over the world. Also Graz was basically started in Chicago, because if it weren't for people championing these women's lost voices, then the world doesn't know about the wonderful voice by these women. And so I am very honored to champion many women. So Felix Mendelssohn was very influenced by his elder sister. He was always writing postcard to her, and she looked at his score, and so she has an overture that survived because women's work was not. Felix would publish his sister's work under his name. Women's work were not allowed to be published. Even her own family didn't allow her to be composer. And there's so many others. Dora Pejacevic, the first Croatian symphonic composers. I literally premiered her work 100 years after the work was premiered in Europe. And so, but the musicians say, wow, they hear Mahler, Strauss, they hear these wonderful voices, but how come these women's work, like Dora Pejacevic's work, is not being programmed? And so I am grateful for Herr Huber allowing me to bring Jennifer Higdon, Rina Esmail, who has Indian background, merging the Hindustani tradition with Western instruments, many more. I'm eager to find out more and more, and I am continue to discover more works by women. I think it takes all of us to band together. I would like to say the Band of Sisters. There's a HBO program in America called Band of Brothers. That's during the Vietnam Wars. I like to start, maybe we should have Band of Sisters. We all do our part to give women around us the respect and opportunity they deserve. And I can assure you it will be a better world, because you want anything done, give it to the women. Look at how many important women in the Studiate office. And I like to call it's a small but mighty team. And so I am so grateful for you to be doing this episode to honor the women on this International Women's Day.
I also talked to Gertrud, you mentioned her before, and she was telling me she is always looking for music from women as composers. And as you said, it's really hard to find it because it's also a problem of publishing.
That's right.
That's what you mentioned before. And maybe this is the point where it has to start. Yeah. It's not only the chiefs of the festivals to play it, but also to publish this music.
That's right. That's right. And I don't know if I can reveal top secret. I so fun working with Gertrud and also Herr Huber. Even on the flight to Graz this time, I sent him another woman composer that he didn't know. So her name is Louise Farrenc, a French woman composer who became the first female professor of the famous Paris Conservatoire. And not only that, after her popular Nonette make money and also brought her prestige, she went to the school and said, why am I paid less than my male professor? So she demanded equal pay. She's the first woman. And this is in the middle of the, this is in the middle of the 19th century. That's really shocking. For her to be so brave, not only people didn't think she was crazy to ask it. I gave the French people kudos. They gave her the equal pay.
They gave her?
They gave her the equal pay.
You see what's possible, and we still have to fight for equal pay today.
Yeah, exactly. Yes. So it gives me hope.
Yes.
That we think back then things were so slow and were, things were not fair. She asked for it, and she got equal pay. And so it taught me a lesson. First, ask for it.
Yes.
Second, we fight for it.
Yes, yes. And then maybe we come to our third topic that we want to talk about. It's youth and music. You are our specialist for the youth orchestras here at Styriate. As you told before, maybe we talk about the projects that you are looking forward to do with our young musicians this year.
Yes.
But I want to start with something I think it's most important. What is your most important message you give young people when they start making music? You are expert in working with young people.
I love working with young people because they make music from the heart. And so my message to parents, young people out there, is that you can view music. It's not just an art form. Music is for everyone. And music can be our expression just from your heart. You know, you're happy. There are also songs that has universal. Everybody sings happy birthday. You know what it means. But music is for everyone. And you don't have to become a professional musician to enjoy music. Music is there to comfort you in hard times. It's there to express your happiness, your love. You know, it's a universal language. It's hard to be replaced by another communication. And so I will welcome everybody to continue to let music be part of your life. And for young people, I have witnessed so often when you transfer the dedication and commitment to mastering an instrument, you can transfer that skills to anything, any topic you choose to pick as a career choice. Because people don't understand what we do, or maybe here in Austria, you understand better than other people. This is an all art, meaning it takes time, it takes patience, which I think is a virtue. You know, we look at the young generation, it's wonderful to have all these social media, but everything is quick. But in performing art, like classical music, you don't learn the violin overnight. You have to learn how to make the sound nice, away from killing chicken sound. You know, that's how people always think, oh, violin sounds so good. When you start to learn the violin, it's not so easy to make that beautiful sound. And the vibrato takes forever for the left hand to know how to vibrate. And so what I love about classical music, it pulls even me. At times, it pulls me down from this busy world. And I can feel the calmness. I can feel a little different world. I don't know how everybody's feeling, but you know, our world sometimes is pretty crazy. You know, there's you know, unfortunate you know, plane accident. I just came from, you know, I live on planes, and so I feel for people who lost lives. You know, it's a pretty safe transportation, but you know, it's pretty hectic life when I'm trying to catch plane. I'm trying to, you know, airports are always full of people, especially during busy times. And I listen to classical music. It's like it clears out all the noise for me. I don't know what it is. It has that, I am a bubble. I'm in a beautiful bubble, and I know what that music means for me. You know, if this music, the music has many universal passages. You know, Beethoven's Fifth, the universality of brotherhood. You know, when I hear Brahms symphonies, you know, the unacquainted love. You can argue it's not always about love in Brahms music, but you know, he's never able to, I mean, his true love, you know, the love triangle with Robert Schumann, wife, and, you can hear Brahms music and you feel, if you are sad in life, you feel comforted. For me, I feel like this is someone who understood, you want something in life and you never get it. And he wrote it in his music. Or like Tchaikovsky, who at the end of his life has to come to terms with, life is not as pretty. He also experienced a lot of struggle, his own struggle with his love life, with his identity. And I hear the pet fatigue. Remember, I told you I got all the rejections letter more than a note I ever conducted. I remember sitting in a concert with hearing Tchaikovsky's Pet Fatigue. I played it, I conducted, but never before. I was crying like a child because he was writing despair at the end of his life. How do you come to terms with fate? And I could feel that despair. And it's still, to this day, his melody, the horn solo in the Fifth Symphony, every time I hear that, it lifts me up because I hear, as he is struggling with fate, that this melody presented hope. And so I love, I think our youth generation, music is so important for them. And it doesn't have to be classical music, but I think classical music can give them so much skills and gifts that they appreciate for the rest of their life.
I feel it's so much what you told us now. It's really this feeling of music, this power of music that it gives to the young people. What are your experiences so far with the young people here in Graz at Styriate Youth Orchestra or the Soundflix Youth Orchestra? What are your experiences so far now?
I was nervous because I work with youth in America, Carnegie's NYO Ensemble, and Taiwan, and I thought, I don't know if youth in Graz or the Studiate Youth Project, which is more international, and then I find out they are almost the same, other than the languages are different, because young people are so raw. They're beautifully raw, meaning they haven't experienced the burden of life. So they are full of hope for the future, and everything for them is possibilities. And so one of the most rewarding things I get from working with youth, they don't know this yet, because I do tell them I'm a tough teacher, because I want to give them as much as I can to help them grow, to help them succeed. So when I push them hard, they don't know the limit. In their vocabulary, there is no limit yet. So when I push them hard, they usually pass my expectation of what they can do. And that's the most fun, because it's about, the older you get, you feel sometimes the world gives you so much limit. You want to do this wonderful commission, but there's not enough money, or you want to, create more concerts, but there isn't enough funding. There's always this limitation that's on top of you. But when I work with youth, it reminds me, life is full of possibilities still. And I just love that I can make music so much from the heart. They love everything from inside out. And so it's the Soundflix program. What's so fun for me is this year we're going to focus on Disney, talking about hope and the positive energy. Disney is famous for always having the Disney ending. Everything is going to work out at the end, right? But I think the lesson we can take from that is we can stay as positive as possible. And so you probably have heard of the term, let's make lemonade out of lemon. If you think of it, lemon juice is very sour. You have to put sugar. So
delicious.
yes. So I always think sugar is also for our life is the positive energy. So the young people reminds me to keep positive about the world, especially through the means of music. But also the Studiate Summer Festival. This year we are going to focus on a very fun and unique collaboration of music and film. So the piece is planets. Doesn't get better than this as a background, right? We live in a universe. We're a small part of our universe. But often if I look at the big universe, it reminds me how big our world is. And my problem is really small. And I can, even though I'm small, I still can make an impact on our big world. And so the Planets Project is going to be so exciting. We're going to have, newly created film with a Chicago-based company. I'm so sorry, Graz-based company, and something that's new created by the team here to showcase this incredible masterpiece by English composer Holst. Because every planet, every movement is about a planet, but it's more psychological, more philosophical, and not just the planets itself. So I'm hoping that something very fun and very creative can come from the Graz-based team. So it will be.
Ocho Risotto is the name of this Graz-based team.
That's
Sorry
right.
to interrupt
Yeah,
you. I just want
please.
to give you. It's
Yes.
Ocho Risotto. I think they did a lot of work here in Graz before.
That's right.
We have a very famous. I tried to translate it in English. It's a sound light festival. That's the name in German.
In German,
and they kind of founded this with the city, and they do a lot of work with this filming and light art, and they are famous here, and they will do this show with you.
That's right. Yes. I can't wait. So Made in Graz, the planets will showcase students that come over the international scene. Many countries, they will come here in Graz and experience this very multimedia project.
Thank you, May-Ann, so much. It was really a pleasure to talk with you about your life, about music and art, and about the projects that will come to us and the audience this year. So thank you very, very much for your time.
And thank you for having me.
Thank you. Great. It was
Is
so
that
great.
Okay? I always give you